FC Chapter 1 Overview of Indian Society. Introduction. India is a land of diversities and contrasts. In order to understand the nature of Indian society, it is necessary to understand the multicultural and pluralistic characteristics of its inhabitants. The multiplicity is reflected in its language, religion, caste, race, climate condition, geographical features, historical legacies, dress and food habits, etc. There are several other additional factors and variables that further divide the society into smaller fragments. There is a vast difference in the socio-economic and political developments in rural, urban, and tribal areas. India, unlike many other nations in the world, is not just a melting pot of various cultures where people come together and turn into one uniform category. For example, American culture envelops all its inhabitants into one uniform identity. But Indian diversity can be identified as a salad bowl, where in each of its citizens has a distinct identity at various levels of caste, language, religion, region, etc. Demographic composition of India. Demographic data refers to the characteristics of a human population in a particular geographical region. It can be defined as a study of size, growth, age, and geographical distribution of human population with respect to birth, death, marriage, and migrant population. India is the second most populous country after China with a population of more than 102 billion and the seventh largest in the terms of area. Has a great diversity in its demographic attributes, may it be birth rate or death rate, fertility and mortality rate, literacy, sex ratio and child sex ratio, poverty, per capita income, employment levels, gender disparity, and so on. India as a multicultural and pluralistic society. The term multiculturalism refers to the appreciation, acceptance, or promotion of multiple cultures, whereas pluralism refers to the existence within a nation or society of groups distinctive in ethnic origin, cultural patterns, language, religion, etc. Pluralism recognizes the existence of different groups at the same time. There is an element of equal opportunities or treatment of to these groups. In spite of the diversity and multiplicity, Indian civilization signifies a certain amount of continuity and confluence. This confluence of cultures also brings out a unique feature of unity in diversity. In order to comprehend this unique feature, it is necessary to understand the multiple stratums of multi-religionism, multilingualism, and caste diversities in India. Multi-religionism. India is a cradle of world religions. Its ancestors have preached and practiced almost all major religions of the world, giving rise to worldly beliefs, practices, rituals, ceremonies, and institutions. The coexistence of all the religions and variety of faiths has been a shining example of religious pluralism and tolerance. The principle of secularism, in spite of several conflicts and riots, has been upheld by our citizens time and again. Indian constitution has rightly reflected the idea of multi-religionism. It states that every citizen has a right to freely practice, preach, profess, and propagate any religion or faith. Secular state has been defined as a state in which all religions and citizens irrespective of their faith, would be treated impartially. Unlike its neighboring nations, India does not uphold any one religion as the state religion. Apart from major religions, there are several tribal religions coexisting in the Indian society. Hinduism. Hinduism is one of the most ancient religions of India. Although followed by majority of population, its origin is not owed to any prophet or founder. Major Hindu scriptures include Vedas and the holy book is Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Puranas, etc. Idol worship, theory of Purushastra, theory of karma, doctrine of rebirth are some of the major principles of Hinduism. They believe in trinity of Brahma, creator, Vishnu, sustainer, and Mahesh or Shiva, the destroyer. The theory of Purushashartha includes four principles of dharma, means duty, artha means material gain, kama means physical pleasure, and moksha means salvation. Hindus are further divided into two sects, that is Shaivism and Vaishnavism, and four castes, that is Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, which are discussed later in the section of caste system in India. Islam. Islam originated in Arabia in around 7th century AD. The term Islam in Arabic means surrender to God. Prophet Muhammad is the founder of this religion. It is a monotheistic religion, meaning believes in only one God, and that is Allah. Quran is the holy book of Islam. The religion is based on 5 pillars. They are Allah, that is believe in only one God; Ramzan, that is fast in the auspicious month; Hajj, that is pilgrimage at least one in a lifetime; Namaz, that is praying 5 times a day; and Zakat, that is charity. The major two sects of Islam are Shias and Sunnis. Christianity. Christianity is a monotheistic religion. Bible is the holy book of Christianity. They are further divided into Roman Catholics and Protestants. The major principles of, of the religion are described in the 10 Commandments. Bible includes the values of humanity, charity, mercy, repentance, etc. Sikhism. Guru Nanak is the founder of Sikhism. Guru Granth Sahib is the holy book of Sikhs, which includes all the hymns and the songs composed by the 10 Gurus of Sikhism. Sikhs believe in Satnam, that is God as the Almighty. A sect in Sikhs who follow Khalsa Panth are known as Singh, meaning lion or the protector of religion. They are expected to follow the 5 Ks, that is Kesh, Kada, Kanga, Kacha, and Kirpan. Jainism. Jainism is a religion based on ethical conduct alone. The 24th Tirthankara was Vardhaman Mahavira, who is said to be the founder of Jainism. It is further divided into 2 sects, that are Shwetambara and Digambara. Jainism believes in karma but do not believe in caste inequalities. Ahimsa or non-violence, non-stealing, truth, non-possessiveness are some of the values preached by Jainism. Majority of the followers of this religion are found in India. Buddhism. Buddhism is termed as a universal religion, though Found in India, its followers are all over the world. Gautam Buddha is the founder of Buddhism. They are further divided into Hinayas and Mahayanas. They believe in eightfold path as the solution to sorrow in life. Multilingualism. Language is not merely a tool of communication but a means through which cultures are transmitted and spread for generations together. Indian society has been a birthplace to many languages. In fact, the major ground on which India was divided in 25 states, now there are 28 states, was language and linguistic diversity. According to the Linguistic Survey of India, there are nearly 179 languages and more than 1,652 dialects in India. However, after the 1961 census, for a smooth data collection purpose, only those languages or dialects which are spoken by a population of more than 10,000 were recognized and noted, after which the number has now come down to 115 languages. On the basis of the origin, languages in India can be broadly categorized into three groups. They are as follows. First, the Indo-Aryan languages. They cover almost 72% of India's population. They include Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Bengali, Oriya, Sindhi, Punjabi, Bihari, Rajasthani, Assamese, Kashmiri, and Sanskrit. Majority of the population belonging to this group reside in northern, western, central, and eastern India. Second, Dravidian languages. The population from South India belong to this group. The major languages are Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam. 25% of the India's population uses these languages. Third, Indo-European languages. Owing to its colonial history, English, French, and Portuguese are the languages spoken in parts of India. English has been accepted widely as one of the official languages for communication and in higher education. Small parts of Goa, Diu, Daman, and Pondicherry comprise of people speaking French or Portuguese. Eighth Schedule and Official Languages. In the 8th Schedule of Indian Constitution, 22 languages are listed. Post-independence, Indian Constitution had listed 15 languages. However, after the 71st Amendment of 1992 and 92nd Amendment of 2003, 7 more languages were added, bringing the total to 22. Bilingual policy and linguistic conflicts in India. India has adopted a bilingual policy at the center, with Hindi as the primary official language and English as the secondary official language. According to the consensus record of 2001, 41.03% of population speaks Hindi. Similarly, at the state level, the language of the respective state and English is accepted as means of communication. However, this decision was never an easy task, taking into consideration the diversity in the languages in different geographical belts. Since there is no language defined as official language in the Indian Constitution, in 1960s there were attempts to replace Hindi for English as the sole official language of India. However, it witnessed several protests from southern states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, and others, resulting in amendment of Official Languages Act of 1963. It was later known as Official Languages Act, Rules Act 1976. Several state languages are decided as official based on the demography of that state. Caste System India. The social stratification or division of society in India is peculiar in its nature. Unlike many other civilizations in the world where the society was divided into race, ethnicity, or clans, Indian society is broadly divided into a hierarchy of caste. The word caste has come from the Portuguese word casta, which means breed. As defined by E.A.G. Blunt, caste is an endogamous group bearing a common name, membership of which is hereditary, imposing on its members certain restrictions in matter of social intercourse. Caste is unique to India and especially to Hindu traditional society and its custom. It is imposed as a divine and had an extensive sanction in the society. The Sanskrit word for caste is varna, which means color. The caste stratification of the Indian society has its origin in the Chaturvarna system. During the Vedic period, there were four varna or castes, namely Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. The division was based on division of labor and occupation. Along with occupation, it was also denoting the endogamy, that is, marriage within one's own caste, and the notion of purity and pollution related to food restrictions, clothing, and language. Further, these groups were subdivided into number of jatis or subcaste based on diversity of occupation. Each group was like a watertight compartment moving out from which was impossible for any member of the society. The notion of purity and pollution resulted in several atrocities in the hierarchy against the lowest strata. The Shudra and Atishudras or the untouchables faced tremendous injustice and atrocities at the hands of the higher castes, especially Brahmins. It was termed as the black period of the Indian history. It was termed as the black period of the Indian history where several inhuman and heinous practices were prevalent in the society, denying the basic human right of these suppressed classes. However, after independence, under the leadership of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, they got a special status in the Constitution of India as scheduled caste. The term used for them was Dalit, the depressed or Harijan, as given by Mahatma Gandhi. Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was a pioneer to initiate the Dalit movement in India, to bring up the status of untouchables by converting to Buddhism, which does not believe in caste hierarchy. Positive discrimination or reservation in India. According to the Government of India Act 1935 and Article 17 of Indian Constitution, all forms of atrocities against untouchability is prohibited. At the same time, there are steps taken for the upliftment of the Dalits by giving them a special concession in the form of positive discrimination or reservation. According to the central government policy, 15% of the government jobs and 15% of the student admitted to universities must be reserved for scheduled caste. There is also provision of reservation of scheduled tribes 7.5%, other backward classes 27% in the government jobs. This ensures an inclusive society with equal opportunities and access in the field of employment and education. Gender, a demographic analysis. Gender as a demographic variable is an important component to understand the development and social progress of the nation. As rightly pointed by experts, the development which is not engendered is considered to be endangered. It is essential to understand the parameters of sex ratio, child sex ratio, health, education, and work population of women as indicators of gender development of the country. In this section, we would only limit to the phenomena of sex ratio and child sex ratio as an indicator of women's empowerment in the nation. Sex ratio is defined as the number of females per thousand males in the population. The child sex ratio is defined as number of females in the age group of 0 to 6 years per thousand males in the population. It is an important social indicator to measure the extent of prevailing equality between males and females in a society at a given point of time. Internationally, this ratio is calculated as number of males per thousand females, including the underdeveloped sub-Saharan Africa. It is only in some of the South Asian countries where there is a rampant incidence of female infanticide and male female feticide that is calculated the other way. Since the first census taken in 1901, the sex ratio has shown a declining trend which has been sharper since independence, with 972 in 901 to 946 in 1951 and 927 in 1991. It has been showing a declining trend. It is only in last 2 decades with efforts of civil society organization and stringent law of PCPNDT Act of 1994 that there has been marginal improvement and has now reached 940 in 2011 consensus. The decline in the child sex ratio of 0 to 6 years is also alarming high. In 1901, the child sex ratio was 976 in 1961. It has come down to 927 in 2001. The marginal improvement in overall sex ratio from 1991 to 2001 of 6 points is not complemented with any kind of improvement in corresponding child sex ratio, which has dropped from 971 in 1981 to 945 in 1991 to 927 in 2001. Against all the popular beliefs and myths, the progressive and economically developed states have the lowest sex ratio in the country, along with historically female deficit states like Punjab and Haryana. Maharashtra and Gujarat has also joined the list of the states with sharply declining sex ratio in 2011. Even the child sex ratio in these states has been miserably low, with almost 50-point decline as compared to its ratio in 2001. Although declined child sex ratio is a socio-economic problem, the immediate cause undoubtedly lies in the improper use of medical technology in the form of preconception and prenatal diagnostic technique, which unfortunately results in the pre-birth elimination of female fetus known as female feticide. Another major reason is son preference. Son preference is deep rooted in Indian society, reinforcing the partial domination. This son preference is often justified through the various socio-economic or religious reasons. The economic justification is that son inherits father's property and also becomes a source of financial security in the old age. The religious purpose is that at least one son is inevitable for performing the last rites of their parents. The social interest of carrying the family name forward and continuing the family lineage also play an important role. However, the most important cause for the same is the evil of dowry, which devalues the girl child as a liability for the parents. Several researches has shown that it is the urban, affluent, literate class of the society which is involved in sex determination and sex selective abortion. It is the small family norm and access to technology that results in the indulgence of such heinous practices by this section of society. The religion-wise distribution of sex ratio reveals that Sikhs have the most gender-biased sex ratio of 786 per thousand of males in 2001, followed by Jains 870, who are then industrialist community, and hence it is proven that economic prosperity varies inversely with the sex ratio. The long-term impact of this problem has already started showing with increasing crime and violence against women in the form of trafficking, rape, and molestation. Unavailability of brides in the female deficit states like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, and now even Maharashtra has resulted in trade of girls from tribal areas at low prices, resulting in further devaluation of women. With such a ratio, India is ranking at the bottom half of the list of 134 countries of Gender Development Index. Though there are several efforts on the part of civil society organizations, NGOs, academicians, and media, government machinery, and legal machinery has failed to put an end to this crisis. The welfare schemes for women empowerment should be amalgamated with change in the attitude towards girl child and stringent implementation of the law. Regional variations of urban, rural, and tribal areas and its characteristics. A region can be defined as a territory the inhabitant of which are emotionally attached to it due to a number of forces and factors such as common language, belief, practices, and common socio-economic political stages of development. India, with its caste, geographical area, and socio-cultural diversity, has been divided into 28 states and 7 union territories. The formation largely has been taken place on the basis of language. However, the physical features, socio-economic conditions, and cultural aspects also gives distinct identity to each region of India. 70% of the population belongs to rural areas, 28% to urban areas, and a smaller but important part of the population, that is, around 2%, lives in remote tribal areas. Tribal population is defined by those who are original settlers or inhabitants residing in remote areas of forest or mountain, also known as Adivasis. Rural areas are predominantly the agricultural region with low density of population. Urban areas are all places with corporations, municipalities, cantonment board with a minimum population of 5,000, where at least 75% of population is engaged in non-agricultural activities, where the density of population is at least 4,000 persons per square meter per square kilometer. There are several factors that indicate regional variations between urban and rural areas. There is a vast difference in the literacy rate, poverty and nature of occupation and per capita income, type of unemployment, rate of economic and social infrastructural development, gender ratio and work participation of women, exposure to media, etc. On the basis of these factors, the characteristics of and problems of each area are discussed below. Characteristics and problems of tribal areas. First, isolated and nomadic settlements. They are away from the civilized areas and keep moving in search of occupation and livelihood. Second, distinct dialects. The tribal have their own language as well as dialect for communication, very different from the neighboring areas. Third, animism, totemism, and magic. Tribal religion compromises of worship of nature and natural elements, known as animism, or a symbolic worship known as totemism. They believe that free spirits regulate their lives, for which they also engage in white or non-violent and black or violent forms of magic. Fourth, geographical distribution. Tribals are spread all over India with maximum concentration in northeast and central India. The states with predominant tribal population are Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Uttarakhand. Fifth, low literacy. With a distinct dialect and nomadic in nature, tribal have very low levels of literacy and complete literacy in some areas. Sixth, low per capita income and uneconomic land holding. With primitive ways of earning livelihood and traditional agricultural practices like zoom cultivation, large number of them are below poverty line. And the last, impact of industrialization and commercial agriculture. With the increasing industrialization and encroachment of forests and hilly areas for the commercial purposes, resulting in loss of land and livelihood, there is unrest and protest from tribal areas. Example, the Naxalite movement. Now we come to the characteristics and problems of rural areas. First, caste system and joint family system. The rigidity of the caste system and restrictions based on purity and population are the basic rules of rural social milieu. The status of an individual is decided by his or her birth in a particular caste, and under no circumstance that individual can climb the social ladder. Similarly, the joint family system reinforces the patriarchal and the patrilocal social structure. Second, rural literacy rate has always been lower than 50% in most of the regions, owing to the traditional mindset and stronghold of customs and blind faith. This often results in unemployment and poverty. Third, occupation. Agriculture is backbone for rural economy. However, dependence on monsoon and primitive technology restricts the growth and per hectare yield in rural areas. Fourth, unemployment. Owing to the seasonal nature of agricultural and uneconomical land holdings, there is a seasonal and disguised unemployment. Fifth, low media exposure. Due to high levels of poverty and illiteracy, the exposure to print and audio visual media is very low. Now we come to the characteristics and problems of urban areas. First, density of population. The four metro cities of Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and Chennai, along with few other cities, has the highest density of population. Literacy. Urban areas often boast of literacy rate of more than 70%, which is generally higher than the national average. Third, occupation. The urban population is mostly involved in secondary or industrial or service sector like banking and insurance, education, health, etc. Third, unemployment. In spite of plenty of employment opportunities, the high density of population, computerization of service sector, and close down of industrial units result in educated unemployment and layoffs. Last, pollution and lack of sanitation. High density and high density of population results in eruption of slums, lack of infrastructural facility, problems of sanitation, and pollution in urban areas. Now we come to the conclusion of this chapter. Hence, from the above discussion, it is quite comprehensible that Indian society is an icon of diversities, variations, and paradoxes. And yet, with its strong ancient history of 4,000 years and faith in unity in diversity, it has always celebrated the similarities and respected the differences within. Unit end questions. The first question is discuss the multilingual and multi-religious nature of Indian society. The second question is discuss the concept of gender as a demographic variable. The third question is what is regional variation? Discuss it with reference to urban, rural, and tribal differences.